Hi everyone, I'm Rita Muradova, a personal stylist and fashion consultant from Kyiv, Ukraine, and we're currently live from Kyiv, Ukraine. And in today's video, we're gonna actually talk about a very interesting topic, trends, but specifically trends that definitely ruin your figure, that make you look not like yourself, that definitely don't flatter you. And these are very controversial trends, and some of these are totally out of whack, and some of these are totally and crazily very popular, although they don't flatter almost like anyone. And I'll tell you the trends and also the reason they don't flatter most people, and they will not be able to flatter most people. So just to be on the cautious side, this is a list of things you don't necessarily have to wear in order to be trendy. There's a lot of trends in this world that definitely look amazing on you, that will flatter you, and these specifically are literally the worst. I haven't seen, I think, even one person who's not a model who looks good in these specific trends. And sometimes even models look very bad in those. So this is basically one of those things which is like a sacrifice for fashion, which is not usually the case, which it doesn't have to be the case, you know? You don't have to sacrifice anything for fashion, because style is something you aim for, not fashion or trend is something you aim for. So without further ado, let's go into those crazy trends that definitely ruin your figure. The first one is a mini skirt paired with leggings. This is basically one of the weirdest trends out there. This specific combination, what it does for you is basically it kind of cuts your legs 2 times at different spaces and different parts of your body, which does not necessarily help your silhouette overall. It cuts your legs, it makes them look shorter, it makes them look stumpier basically, and even the best of legs will look really bad in those. And an example is definitely, for example, like a Chanel show, which they love their leggings, you know, especially the last 2 seasons, they love the leggings paired with mini skirts and mini dresses. And especially if those leggings are kind of on a brighter color or like a matchy, maybe contrasting color, it will look so bad. So the best way to go about that is actually to match the color of the leggings with your skirt or dress or whatever, just to elongate the silhouette as much as you can. But preferably just don't pair those 2 things, especially if you pair them with like a low heel or no heel at all, no platform at all, because you will end up with shorter looking, stumpier looking legs, even if your legs are just the perfect legs, the best legs in the world, just because of this pairing. It just doesn't work. It cuts your leg off different parts of your body. It's just like one of the worst trends to follow. If you want to work with leggings, pairing leggings with like skirts and dresses, I'd suggest going for a midi skirt or a midi dress, or maybe even you can like go get away with pairing leggings with like a skirt that's like a knee length. At least some length that's below the knee or the knee length would be much better than a mini skirt with leggings, because the leggings take up so much space and they create this illusion, especially with a mini skirt, that your hips start lower than they actually do. And because of the potency, because they're so not sheer, so the leggings are pretty thick, they give your leg a bigger like ambiance, therefore not doing anything for your body. The next trend that definitely doesn't do any favors for the body is wide chokers, especially wide chokers paired with a person who has a wider neck and a higher sitting shoulder part. Basically, well, there's people who have a very long neck, and there's people like me who don't have very long necks. Therefore, when you have a wide choker that basically cuts off and makes disappear a part of your not so tiny, not so long neck, it makes your neck look much more wide. It makes you look much more like frowny. It makes you look kind of, bulky up top, especially in the neck and the shoulder direction, the neck and the shoulder part. And therefore, it doesn't make you look balanced. So what I would suggest going for, especially for people who have necks like me, so not very elongated, dawn-like necks. If you're going for chokers, I'd suggest going for chokers that are kind of sheer or semi-sheer and not that thick, not that wide, but also just try to switch it up with longer necklaces, so something that doesn't basically cut off a part of your neck. The next thing that doesn't do wonders for the body is only sheer materials, which were all over the catwalk this season. So each and every show had a lot of sheer and body, showing materials, and the Fendi was one of them. But what happens when you get a lot of these materials in the look, you basically kind of, mellow out your whole body's contour, therefore making your body, your figure, and your volumes look bigger and not that defined, as opposed to having only one sheer thing in your look. When you have, for example, you have a sheer top and then a skirt, etc., when you pair those two materials, what you get instead is you have a balance of different thickness of different materials. That's first. And then the next thing you get is basically something that defines your body's contour, basically showing to the people what your real body's contour is, as opposed to just swallowing it with a semi-sheer thing overall. So what I'd suggest going for is basically like an archival Miu Miu show. That could be either a skirt, a sheer skirt with a not so sheer top, or vice versa, a sheer top but a not so sheer skirt. Therefore, you would get an amazing, beautiful, balanced, interesting, cozy, cool look that's also very flattering for your figure, which is always a must. The next thing that doesn't do wonders for the body is a thin, very thin cardigan, which is a knit cardigan that's also maybe cropped. Because of the nature of a knit and knitwear, it kind of, takes up the shape of your body. And when you have a thicker knitwear, it kind of creates a specific shape. It's more structured. When the knitwear is on a thinner side, what happens is it stretches on your body, especially if that knitwear has a pattern. What happens is this pattern stretches. And if you are one of those beautiful ladies with a voluminous, beautiful, up top thing happening, like a bigger bust basically, what ends up happening is this pattern stretches out into a weird thing, and the cardigan looks like it's too tight and too small on you. So for people who are on the flatter chested side, that's a good thing. But for people who have a bigger chest, even if it's not a huge volume, even if you have a smaller volume, but at least some volume, what ends up happening is that this pattern on the knitwear and the knitwear itself stretches. It's not a good look. So what I would go for instead of that is a thicker knitwear. That's one way to go. But also, if you still want to have this thinner knit cardigan up top, you can always pair it with something over it. For example, a blazer, a jacket, whatever it is. So something that would at least cover and kind of hide a part of the stretched knitwear and create some balance of materials in your look. So the next thing we'll talk about is slouchy boots, but specifically knee-high slouchy boots. Those are literally one of the worst things to wear in terms of shoes if you want to elongate your look, because of all those horizontal things that happen basically when you slouch the boots. They create these folds, and these folds for the eye are horizontal stripes, and horizontal stripes in terms of styling definitely create a wider part somewhere, especially on the legs. They make them look kind of shorter, stompier. Not only they do not elongate the look, but they also cut off your legs and your whole silhouette, so you look shorter, less proportionate, etc., etc. Especially if those are paired with jeans and oversized jeans tucked in those slouchy boots. Then that's the worst thing that you could wear in terms of styling if your wish is to elongate your look. So if you're someone, for example, that could be a good solution for someone who's very tall, who wants to look shorter, because there's There are people like that in this world, and I know them. I have some of my clients are very tall, and one of their wishes is to kind of look like more petite. And this is one way to go to kind of not only not elongate, but also kind of make your silhouette, especially legs, look shorter. So pair oversized jeans or pants, whatever, tucked into slouchy boots. That's one way to go. But if your wish is not to do that, if your wish is to elongate your look, this is not the way to go, especially for the ladies who have a bigger bottom, for example, pear-shaped people. This is the worst thing to wear because this is going to not only cut off your legs, which are not necessarily that long to begin with because of the proportions of a pear shape usually, but also because of the volume that this whole thing mess creates down below, it kind of accentuates and hyper intensifies the volume of your hips, which in and of itself makes the look more like unfinished, less proportionate, makes your body kind of distorted in terms of proportions. And the last thing we'll talk about is knitted mini skirts, especially if those mini skirts, just like the cardigan that we mentioned previously, has like a pattern, especially like a thicker, like weaving pattern. That's like the worst because once again, if you have a bigger hip, what it does, it stretches out the pattern and the outfit looks less finished. That's the first. And then the second thing, it just gives more volume, not necessarily something you usually wish for your hips, and makes the look less proportionate. So what I would go for definitely, if you still want to wear knitted skirts, I'd go for something not patterned, so something like stripey, whatever. So something that is not necessarily a thick knit, but also not necessarily something with a pattern. But also one way to go is to go for midi and knee-length knitted skirts. Those would definitely look amazing on you. Those would definitely also work much better for the winter that's coming. That's definitely very like cold, so not necessarily the best weather for mini skirts anyway. But also what this would do, this would make your look more proportionate, more interesting, more beautiful, more stylish, etc., because of those lengths of skirts. They could be paired with a lot more types of shoes. And also, if you wear a midi or maxi knitted skirt, this would elongate your look because of the type and the length of the skirt in and of itself. So let me know in the comments below which one of these trends is literally the worst for you, that doesn't work for you and you absolutely hate, which one of these trends you've tried and you actually like and you totally disagree with whatever was said in this video. And this is it for this video. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!